Thank you so much. And we start off Mello TV Sports with some athletic news, as Garth Gale is the new president of the Jamaica Amateur Athletic Association after the elections was held at their annual general meeting inside the National Arena on Saturday. Gale, who will be replacing outgoing president Dr. Warren Blair, served as secretary for 2 decades as he defeated Donald Quarry by over 200 votes. In speaking with our news team, Garth talked about his first duties as president of the J3A.
Is to get our sports back on track, meaning competition for our juniors as well as our elite athletes. So it's to get our competition back in full swing.
He also spoke about track and field going forward during the COVID-19 pandemic.
First and foremost, we have to work with the government, both the Ministry of Health and Sports. Protocols are already being established. And if you had looked at our magazine, copies will be made available to you today, you would see that we also has put in place the reopening. What are the things we need our coaches and athletes to do in order to ensure their well-being and safety?
Former J3A President Dr. Warren Blake spoke confidently about the newly elective board fulfilling their duties.
First of all, I must say congratulations to the new team that has taken over the running of track and field in Jamaica. You know, I'm quite happy to see what happened there today, but as the president said, their work now begins. You know, running track and field and running an association such as ours is quite a formidable task, and I'm certain that the new president and his team is up to the task. I think they will do quite well, and I think that Jamaica's track and field will continue in the mode that it has been in.
Also speaking with Mello TV Sports, President of the Jamaica Olympic Association, Christopher Samuda, said that he has already been in talks with the new board about preparing athletes for the Tokyo Games next year.
Well, certainly we have already begun that process already. Since the pandemic came in, we of course indicated to our member associations with meetings we have had that certain protocols have to be in place in order to properly prepare the athletes for competition next year at the Tokyo Games. We will continue to work with the Jamaica J3s in ensuring that the athletes perform at their optimal at the Olympics. Clearly, we're going to also have to look at external stakeholders like the World Health Organization that will of course be giving certain directives and certain protocols will be laid down. We have to adhere to those as well. But certainly we are going to be working with the J3s because in the Olympic movement, one of the mandates that we of course follow is that each athlete must be given a fair chance of transitioning to the Olympic stage. And that is a principle of Olympism that we will of course be advocating and ensuring that the J3s adopt that as well.
Continuing with track and field news, the Russian Track and Field Federation has elected a state rail executive as its next president as it attempts to have its doping suspension lifted ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. The federation, known as RUSAF, will now be headed by Pyotr Ivanov. He is the chief executive of a Russian state company specializing in high-speed rail and has also been the president of the Russian Triathlon Federation since 2016. Ivanov's most pressing task will be to amend a roadmap for anti-doping reforms, which World Athletics deem seriously deficient in its first draft in September. Russia has until March 1 to submit a new version. The roadmap is key to Russian hopes of lifting a suspension which was imposed in 2016 when investigations revealed widespread doping amongst top Russian track and field athletes. Since then, 2 RUSAF presidents have come and gone after failing to convince World Athletics that enough progress was being made. The World Athletics Council is due to discuss the situation in Russia when it meets tomorrow and Wednesday. We bowl over to cricket news now, With the 2020 International Series lost, the West Indies will now turn its attentions to the two-match test series against New Zealand starting in 2 days' time. The final game of the three T20s was rained out today, giving New Zealand the series 2-0. The West Indies first fell in the first game by 5 wickets via Duckworth-Lewis and was outplayed to lose the second by 72 runs. In today's encounter, the Windies were sent to bat first and were 25 for 1 after 2.2 overs when the game was abandoned at the Bay Oval. Andre Fletcher was on 4 and Kyle Mayers 5 after the fall of Brandon Knight for 11. The West Indies went down 2-0 to New Zealand in a series for the second time in succession with one washout. The West Indies, the two teams now, will travel to Hamilton for the first test at Seton Park starting on Wednesday, Caribbean. Now on to football news now. Fulham put their recent penalty woes behind them as they stunned Leicester City with a shock 2-1 victory at the King Power Stadium to move out of the Premier League relegation zone today. Heading into the contest, Fulham had missed their last 3 spot kicks in the league. Ademola Lookman gave the visitors the lead in the 30th minute before Ivan Cavallero, who missed Fulham's last penalty against Everton, finished into the top corner after reggae boy Bobby Dickard-Dover-Reid was fouled by Christian Fuchs in the area. The victory moves Scott Parker's side out of the bottom 3 to 17th, while Leicester, who missed out on the chance to move level on 21 points with Tottenham and Liverpool at the top of the table, stayed 4th. Also today, Aston Villa missed a penalty and had a stoppage time goal waved off by VAR as they were beaten 2-1 by West Ham United. Still on the Premier League, striker Raul Jimenez has undergone an operation on a fractured skull suffered in Wolves' win over Arsenal yesterday. Jimenez was stretchered off following a clash of heads with Arsenal defender David Luiz and was given oxygen after the accidental coming together. The clash of heads occurred early in the match and resulted in a lengthy delay of around 10 minutes as paramedics and medical staff saw to both players. The Mexican striker was taken to a London hospital where he was conscious and responding to treatment. In a statement released today, Wolves said the player is comfortable. Wolves, meanwhile, won the game 2-1 as Arsenal slumped to their worst start to a season since 1981. Still on football, French referee Stéphanie Frappart will become the first woman to take charge of a men's Champions League game when Juventus hosts Dynamo Kiev on Wednesday. Frappart became the first woman to take charge of a major men's UEFA competition match when Liverpool faced off against Chelsea in the 2019 Super Cup. The 36-year-old also refereed the 2019 Women's World Cup final between the United States and the Netherlands. She has refereed French Ligue 1 games since 2019. Frappart oversaw her first Europa League game in October when Leicester City hosted Zorya Luhansk. Switzerland's Nicole Petitniat was the first woman to referee UEFA men's matches when she took charge of the UEFA Cup qualifying round between 2004 and 2009. And now to end tonight's sports package, we presented with the play of the night, Marcus Rashford's wonderful strike versus Bulgaria.
Rashford accelerating, turning really well. Rashford! Oh, pick that out. Storming start for Marcus Rashford.
It's a wonderful bit of skill here. The pace goes round the back there, looks dummies to cross, and then the angle, one more touch inside, just opens that angle, and what a finish. Fantastic pace. You've got to say the keeper's at fault a little bit there. It's gone through his hand. It's a slight touch.
And those are the stories making sports news tonight. I'm Christopher Scott. Remember, stay safe and pleasant viewing.